The fire in the belly has to be there. I've known so many wonderfully talented people, and I used to wonder why didn't they go any farther? Some of these that I went to school with, some I was in a class with in New York, they took the rejection. I was rejected a lot, but I always thought and felt that, okay, if this girl in the blue dress gets it, and I'm in my pink dress or whatever, and she gets it and I don't, it's because it's her turn. So I knew when it's my turn, it would happen. So I was never upset about it. I knew something good would come. I didn't know when or what. Although I did, when my classmates at UCLA gave me a going away party when I was going to go to New York. And they said, okay, Carol, tell us what you're going to do. And I said, well, my first professional job will be in a Broadway musical, and it will be directed by George Abbott, who was the top musical comedy director at that time. And that's what happened. And that was another time when I had seen myself on campus at UCLA, and that happened. I saw myself talking with Mr. Abbott, and he was giving me a direction. And I knew that would happen.
You seem just naturally drawn to probably the stage, or the
Yes,
pure...
I was, first of all, to the stage because, well, I mean, television was remote in those days, and films seemed... Well, I didn't go to films, so I didn't know anything about them. So God alone knows what happened. I mean, I just wanted to work in the theatre, really. And it's only comparatively recently that people have been able to do more than one thing. You can't just work in the theatre, you can do film and television now, which is nice.
Do you love the craft of acting as much now as when you started?
Yes, I do. Yes, of course I do, but it's much more difficult now. Well, it's difficult to make it look easy, but it's not as easy as it looks, is really what it's about.
So the more you know, the more you realise there is to learn.
Yes, but I think that's true of everything. You realise how much more complicated it is. You know, when you start, you just think, oh, I learn the lines, and what's the problem? What is it? Learn the lines and don't bump into the furniture. Exactly. Then you find there's quite a bit more to it than that.
What do you think when you see some of these youngsters who get a good script, get in a hit movie, bang, they're worldwide movie stars without ever really having learnt the essence of the craft?
It's a whole different ballgame, but I think it's...
What's made it a different ballgame?
I think, as you were saying,
money.
The fact that you can be a huge success at the age of 18, 19, and then where'd you go? What happens? Exactly.
What was satisfying to me was to be able to have something that I really cared about doing. It was vital to me, and it was a lifeline. It gave me hope, in a way. But success was something else. Success was always a feeling that it was fleeting, and that it was unusual, and that it was scary, in a way. But the idea that I could be in plays and execute my, or perform and express something. If I was lucky enough to get something I could express, that was good for me. I could somehow experience it and it be a personal, which is sort of the key to all. Hopefully, for me, the key is to find it personally, and that in this play, I could express myself that to such a point I couldn't do it in life as much as I could in this. As a matter of fact, it's so much easier to do it and much less taxing to do it in your work than to do it in life. Life, it's sort of hell getting upset. But on stage, you can do it because there's a license to do it, and it's a different kind of thing. It's like having an instrument that you're playing through. So it was a revelation to me, and something that If you want to use the word, you can use the word. I guess it was inspiring.
Weren't you homeless during that period?
I was homeless, yeah.
Where'd you sleep?
I slept on the stage of where I was performing the play.
Did you really?
Yeah. It wasn't fun.
Why has the studio been so important to you? What has it given to you?
It's a place I believe in. It's a place where people can come and develop themselves in their work away from the spotlight.
Yeah.
Free to exercise and exercise.
In 1951, Lee Strasberg began a legendary career. Can you speak of one or two things that he taught you that you use in your work that are important?
One big thing he said is just learn your lines. Sounds crazy, but it's very effective. Over the years, I've developed a way of working, which is, that's my idea of acting anyway. I think everybody develops their own as they go on and experience things. The whole idea of being personal is very important. And effective memory really is thinking of something that brings you to a certain place that's helpful for the scene or the play.
Yes.
It's extremely good to do. I think it's really helpful.
Well, to approach a role like that, I had to find sympathy in her, and I had to understand where she was coming from. And like I said, it really wasn't that hard. In the beginning, the setup of the story, I really understood how she felt. Not because it's happened to me, but because it was just understandable that she would be so devastated and so angry and by being ignored and cast out that way. But then it was hard. It was a hard line to draw because it would have been really easy to play her as a bitch. And I was very tempted some days to just do that because I was really exhausted and it was a really exhausting role and movie to make. Every scene is hysterical in some ways.
And it's easy to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it would have been much easier for you to walk in there and just let rage go.
Yeah, and I had a lot of it, built up, but I had to give her some understanding. I had to kind of honor her in that way. But every day, maybe with the exception of two or 3 days out of the whole schedule, I mean, I felt like we had done it. We had
reached places you hadn't gone before as an actor?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I was so, like I said, I mean, it was so, it was like going, I mean, I've always gone the 9 yards. I've always tried to do as much as I can with a part, but this part was like a ball of fire. I mean, it was like, and you couldn't help but get completely, it wasn't something you could turn on and off. I mean, it was completely consuming, and it felt great. It felt miserable, but it felt great, I mean, it was a torturous process, but in the best possible way.
Because she was in your head all the time.
All the time.
You didn't walk off the set.
Never.
And forget about it.
No, I couldn't. It was impossible. I have on other films, I do that most of the time, but on this I couldn't afford to, because to get wound up again when the next day, it would have been too exhausting for me. So it was like this feeling of, you reach these places of like incredible pain or agony or frustration, but it feels good. It's like that picking at a scab or something, or it's that good kind of pain that you're doing something. You're doing something right because it hurts so good.
I think to me that's that's what I'm aiming for. That's the best moment, when I'm not making a conscious decision. Right? So you have all this time in rehearsals and before you actually start shooting, even on the day. And that's the time where I think about all the different possibilities, and you go through the script, and you can't help but come up with ideas. And but if I ever go onto set and then consciously try to use one of those ideas that I've had, it's always really bad. like without fail. And the only time that something, I don't know if it's good or not, I can't really say that, but the only time it feels like it works for me is when I'm not making that conscious decision, right? So I like to have, I guess, a lot of options like available. And then you try to just react in the moment, but oftentimes you have to, sometimes you read a scene and you walk in the door and you imagine walking in the door and you walk in, kind of push like that, and you get to set and it like opens, the door opens out. And so you've planned like this whole thing, or I'm gonna walk in and say the line like that, and now it changes everything. And so I'm trying more and more just to have like these possibilities available, but not make any kind of decision until I'm in the experience. That sounds so fucking pretentious. You stop thinking about the idea of like being another person or like being a character, right? I try not to make rules about the character. I kind of like don't like that idea of like my character would never do that. I just go like, I don't know what the fuck they do, you know, like anything's possible. There's things that I do all the time that are out of character. Well, what does that mean to be in character? So again, it's like a process that honestly I don't really understand. It has as much or maybe more so to do with other people than me.
Mm-hmm.
The
other people,
filmmaker, the other actors,
yeah.
People on set. There's so many people that you don't even know about, and they have such a profound impact on the character and the role and how you're feeling that day and how you behave. So it's something that honestly I don't fully understand, and I don't really want to.
People ask me, as they sometimes do, what should I do? I want to be an actor, I want to be an actor, I want to be an actor. What's the first word out of my mouth?
Practice, study.
Study, you got it, study. The first word I utter to them is study. Go and study. But if you're young, if you're like 14 or 15 years old, I say go and get your education. Finish your high school education, go to college, get a college education, get an advanced degree if you'd like one. Learn, study, learn all the things you can, experience all the things you can. Those are arrows in your quiver. Eventually you'll take them out and use them when you're an actor. In the meantime, educate yourself in every conceivable way. There's plenty of time. You don't have to be 19 years old when you start. That's a big mistake. You can simultaneously study acting, and then ultimately, if say at the age of 21, 22, 23, you've finished your education, and you think that you would still like to be an actor, then go to one of the great acting schools. Learn from the masters what it means to be able somehow, miraculously, to take something that somebody has written, incorporated it into your own soul and mind and heart and body, and deliver it then to a public that will see something in a different way, a brand new way for the first time because you gave it to them. When you can do that, then you can call yourself an actor. That's all you need to do. It's a lot. It takes time, takes a lot of hard work, but it isn't easy. I remember once Robert Lewis, one of my teachers, came from the group theater. I did Stella Adler, I did Lee Strasberg. And he walked into class one night, 11:30, we used to meet late in those days, 11:30 to 1:30, because we were all working in the theater. He said, the better you get, that means that when you're finally successful and people respect your work and you're perhaps famous, people are going to come up to you and say, you know that thing that you did in that movie? I know I could do that. Why? Because it looks so easy, huh? I know I could do that. He said, and you're going to want to strangle them.